What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the Migardener channel. In today's episode, I had originally planned to plant onion seeds. Planned to plant. Say that 10 times fast. I'd originally planned to plant onion seeds, but when I came down into the grow room, I was shocked by what I saw. The peas that I planted last week had not only sprouted, but had absolutely become almost a tangled mess. In fact, some of these ones are beginning to fight for their own territory. So I've got to get these planted in the garden. Now the good thing is that I do have a window of time that's pretty forgiving to plant onion seeds. Typically we'll plant our onion seeds in kind of the middle of March to the end of March, and we're almost at the end of March. And it's in this time where, I do have this very forgiving window to where if I plant my onion seeds, say next week, it really won't make any bit of difference to me if I plant them now or next week. They grow very quickly, and the idea behind planting onion seeds is that, if I were planting tomato seeds, they're much more time sensitive to get the tomatoes planted because they have such a long maturity time. The idea behind planting onion seeds is just getting them started, getting them, kind of giving them a head start, and if it's a 1 week head start or a 5 week head start, not a huge difference because they mature based on the daylight period. So if I start them now or start them next week, it's not going to be a huge difference. But if I wait a week to get these in the ground, well, we're going to have a huge issue on our hands. I try to catch them at a mature enough stage to where they're not tangled up, so that they're just about this stage right now is the best time for me to plant them outside. Because once they, peas in particular, pole beans would be another thing. If I can start them inside, I will, but I prefer to start as much stuff inside as possible just because there's so many hungry animals outside that usually dig up a lot of my seeds. And so I don't like letting these get super mature inside because they begin to get all tangled up, and they have such a temperamental, tender stem that if you start to force them apart, often what happens is you end up breaking the stems and then they die. Peas are not like tomatoes where if they lose half the plant, they'll just regrow a sucker and kind of pick a new main growth point. If you break off the stem on a pea plant, it's literally dead. And so that's why I gotta get these in the ground right now. So I hope you guys are gonna enjoy this episode. I really do hope so because I certainly did not expect that, but isn't that what just makes gardening fun? It's just, sometimes it throws you a curveball and you just roll with the punches, and hey, so that's what we're gonna do today is we're gonna plant our peas out in the garden. So let's go do that. All right, so we're out in the garden and it's a little breezy, it's a little chilly, but it's definitely not coat weather, so it's a nice day. I mean, the birds are out, the trees are budding, and it's just a nice day all around to be out in the garden. So what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be planting our peas up along this cattle panel trellis. Now, the reason why we're planting them along this is because the varieties we chose this year are different from our normal varieties that we usually plant. Now, if you've been watching this channel for any length of time, we typically plant a shorter, more dwarf variety called Tom Thumb. I love Tom Thumb, don't get me wrong. It's just this year we wanted to mix things up a little bit. And so we picked a couple of varieties that get nice and tall. We really wanted to fill this entire trellis up with peas. Typically what we'll do is we'll take this small little trellis that's only about 2 feet tall or so, and we'll grow Tom Thumb up that because at maturity, Tom Thumb only gets about 1 foot tall. It's great. It's a super awesome producer. Tastes amazing. Geneva absolutely loves coming out and harvesting from it. But like I said, we're just mixing things up a little bit. And so now that she's starting to grow up and she's starting to be able to reach a little higher, we thought, hey, let's mix things up and plant some different varieties. And so we have some really cool ones planned out for this year. One of the ones we planned was Oregon Giant Snow Pea. Now this is a huge, giant snap pea. Absolutely love the variety. It's so sweet. We use it in stir fries and fresh eating. Just a huge honking big snap pea. We also have a variety called Spring Blush. It's just an absolutely incredible variety. It actually is green, and then it ripens. When it ripens up, it actually turns kind of a burgundy, blush color, and it's just a stunning color. And so that's just an interesting one. I love growing foods of color. And then we also have the ever popular Sugar Snap Pea, and that's because it's sweet, it's prolific, and Geneva's gonna love grabbing it and just eating it right off the vine. So absolutely love that. So we have those 3 varieties in here. And so you can basically tell here, these are the Oregon Giant. These ones here that are already kind of tendriling out, those are the Spring Blush. And then we have here that are a little shorter. We have those are the sugar snap peas. So yeah, very excited about that. Now I know you're gonna ask, Luke, if you're planting plants outside, are you already out of the threat of frost? And the answer is no, we're definitely not out of the threat of frost yet, but we're gonna plant these in a part of the garden that gets protected. It also is a little bit of a microclimate because it has a fence line here, so it does not get that really harsh cutting wind. And so the frost, if there is one, is typically at this time of year fairly light. Also, because we're planting in raised beds, we are afforded a little bit of frost protection because they're elevated. The higher the elevation, the more frost protection you have because frost settles in the lowest parts of your yard. So because they're elevated a little bit, that's going to be great. And also, we're growing them up a trellis, and so they're not going to be really low to the ground. And so because they're off the ground, that's going to be further frost protection. So at this time of year where we're at, almost into April, the nights are not getting into the low 20s. They're not getting into even really the high 20s. So we're talking a moderately light frost, if that. So these are plenty cold hardy enough to survive that. And so that's why we're going to get these out into the garden. And then say probably about next week or so, we're going to be getting our lettuce started directly in the ground. We're going to be getting our spinach started directly in the ground. We're also going to be getting our cilantro started, as well as our radishes. So there's lots that's going to be happening in the next week or so in the garden. Despite the time of year that it is, it's really important that you just kind of remember the varieties that you can plant outside, even though you're still within that threat of frost. That way you can get your garden started earlier, start enjoying your garden sooner, and you can really maximize the space that you have. So with that being said, let's get these planted. All right, so what I'm going to do, rather than just dig individual holes here, I'm just gonna take my shovel and I'm just gonna dig a trench, because the thing about peas is you can plant them so close together. Typically if you started from seed, you would put a seed about every half inch to an inch or so. And when they grow up, you're gonna thin them to about every inch and a half between plants. It seems obscenely close together. But when they start growing up, if you grow them vertically, they all kind of support themselves and they all kind of grow up along the trellis that you have. And the nice thing with that is that one pea plant does not produce all that much. But if you have, say, 15 pea plants or 20 pea plants, that's where you start getting the production. That's really where you start to see a difference. So I want to plant them dense. I want to get them really, really densely planted in here, and that way I'm going to get a nice production from this space here. So as you can see, what I talk about all the time is when you work on the quality of your seed starting mix, it can make all the difference. As you can tell, there's not big chunks in here. That's because we sifted our seed starting mix to 1/8 of an inch. And having that really fine seed starting mix allows for the roots just to move throughout the soil super quickly, and it really allows for amazing root development. But look at that, absolutely stunning. And even with these peas that are planted true to a cell, I'm not going to thin those out. Like I said, I'm going to plant these as densely as possible in here, and that way I'm really going to maximize my production. Now typically, like I said, you don't want to thin these out, but because I'm planting a 2-inch by 2-inch block, they kind of are already spaced out by at least that. So I'm not going to thin them out a whole lot, and I'm really going to cram them in here as close as I possibly can. Just so like I said, I want to get that production, because the peas, they mature very quickly, and the season here in Michigan gets warm so fast that by the time I'm harvesting peas, it's already almost summer weather. And so it's very important that we just really get the most production as possible out of these plants in the shortest amount of time. And the soil looks great this year, so full of tons of worms and just beautiful, absolutely beautiful soil. Absolutely incredible this year. The soil quality just keeps getting better every year. It's all about taking care of it. The more you take care of your soil, the better it becomes. Now for the first couple weeks, these plants are going to be a little floppy, and it's just really important that as we are training them up, we're just kind of going to coax them over this way. And so sometimes what I find helps is, as you can see, I've kind of planted them on an angle, so that way the plants are naturally kind of leaning towards the trellis, because it only takes a second for them to touch the trellis, for them to grab it, and then once they grabbed it, it's kind of game over. So I just kind of plant them on a slight angle to kind of coax them over that way, rather than in the other direction, away from the trellis. Other people will take sticks. You can even take little sticks. If you had something like this, you know, you could take it and pop it in, obviously maybe a little bit bigger, but pop it in next to the plant just to give them a little bit of support so that it can kind of be a rung on a ladder closer towards that first rung on the trellis, if you will. All right, now it's time to plant up the other half of the pea trellis here. This is our garlic bed, and the garlic looks incredible, doesn't it? It's all up. We had absolutely amazing success, great survival rate, and as you can see, the little mulch layer protected them well and insulated the soil. They're looking great. I'm just so happy about our garlic this year. Anytime you have a mulch layer here like we have, it's very important you rake that back, because all of this stuff that's not broken down yet, you don't want to bury that in your soil. It's very important not to bury mulch, because if you bury something that's not yet broken down, it can actually rob nitrogen from the soil. So we're just raking this back here so that we're not burying it, and that way we're not depleting the nutrients found in the soil, especially with these peas, which are nitrogen. They're nitrogen fixing, but they're also nitrogen hogging. They need a lot of nitrogen. So I don't want to cause any nitrogen deficiencies in the soil with these pea plants. All right, so I do have a few more plants left over. I had the sugar snap peas that I did not really have space for on this trellis. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant them over on my other trellis. So I'm going to do that off camera because I'm getting a little cold. So I'm going to do that really quickly. That way I don't have to manage and move around a camera, but you get the gist of it. You get what I'm doing. So thank you guys so much for tuning in for today's episode. I really hope that you all enjoyed. I hope you got a lot out of it. I hope you learned something. I hope it inspired you to get out in the garden. And hey, anytime you get to put your hands in the dirt, get your hands dirty and enjoy the feeling and the smells of a garden. It's a good day. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something new, and we'll catch you all on the next episode. All right, go big or go home, everyone. Bye.